Large anti-government protests broke again in at least 8 Iranian cities for the first time in weeks. With us now is Behnam Taleblu from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Good evening to you.
Greetings. Good to be with you again.
Any specific reason why it's restarting right now?
Well, the protests never really died out. They're beyond 150 days now. There was different scale and scope really after the third month of protests, particularly as we moved into 2023. But there were several different epicenters, particularly in the northwest and the west and in the southeast, where there's a heavier hand by the regime against ethnic and sectarian minorities that live quite literally on the geographic and social periphery of the Islamic Republic. But again, the regime tried to have a show of strength on February 11th, which was the 44th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution, and the population is showing actually how that really is, a sign of weakness of the regime. There is less popular support than ever before, and there is a broadening coalition that's demographically different, geographically different, that will continue to use every available opportunity to turn out to show their distaste with the government.
That will require much more energy. What's the force behind those people on the streets?
Well, the thing that is actually orienting and animating people on the streets in every iteration of protest from December 2017 to present are the failures of the government to put national interest over revolutionary ideology. So whether it's a social trigger, like the forced enforcing of the hijab, or an environmental trigger like the regime's disastrous environmental policies and excess dam buildings, or whether it's the regime's foreign policy that led to the shooting down of the civilian Ukrainian airliner in 2020, the regime's mistakes are actually driving and sustaining a wider coalition of people to protest against them. But the thing that you hear particularly since September is that the population fears what a new normal could look like, which is why you're likely going to go through more boom and bust cycles of protest.
I want to ask you briefly about some news out of London. Iran International TV, that's a UK-based TV network, announced that it was shutting down its operation because of threats from Iran. I mean, can that be so severe so they shut, their operation?
There are several different diaspora channels that exist in London. Iran International is one of them. It gained quite a following, particularly since these different iterations of national protests since 2017. But in general, the families, the citizens, the friends, the people who have worked at this station and several other stations across the UK have been routinely harassed and targeted in cyberspace, as well as their friends and family members who do live inside Iran. One hopes the operation does move elsewhere because, in general, the more voices in the space that shed the light on what the regime is doing, the better it is. But this is really a sign of how far-reaching the regime's tentacles are, that even in the heart of the West, a media operation is not permitted to shine a light or is felt encumbered when it comes to shining a light on what is going on inside Iran. So this is really the tentacles of the regime and the threats of the regime in full force here. So everyone should be taking note, not just the employees.
Behnam, I thank you very much for that.
Thank you.